Picture framing is a relaxing and rewarding hobby, limited only by your imagination and the tools available. Today, quality and creative picture framing is now within everyone's reach thanks to a range of new tools and techniques. Only basic skills are needed and the end result can be used to decorate your own home or give away as gifts. It is most rewarding to be able to finish your existing hobby or craft, such as photography, needlework, painting or woodworking. Frameco has been serving the picture framing industry for more than 25 years, and we specialise in the manufacture of do-it-yourself picture framing tools suitable for the home hobbyist. Now, let's begin. Now, for the purpose of the demonstration, what I would like to do is to frame a whole picture. And the one that I've chosen is this one here, a picture of two boats. We've gone through and we've selected the colour and we've arrived at a buffy coloured mount which enhances the colours in the boats. We've decided that we're going to use a 5 centimetre mount all the way around the outside. The picture is reasonably well balanced from the bottom to the top, so therefore there's no need to offset the base. So we're going to have an even mount all the way around the outside, and the frame is a fairly darkish woody frame which enhances the image and sharpens it all up. Once we've cut the mount, we can then cut the frame and to join it using all our tools, and then once we've finished all that, then we'll cover all the finishing touches as well, which comprises of inserting the picture in, cutting the glass, backing it all off, and putting a hanger on so that you can finish your job off. Now, first of all, what we have to decide to do is to get our measurements just right, and to help you do this, we've devised a worksheet which allows you to make no mistakes. The worksheet, incidentally, is available from Frameco. If you would like to ring our local office, they will give you a copy, and then you can make copies of it as you go along. But the worksheet has all the workings on it so that you make no mistakes. Now, remember the picture was 200 by 250 or 8 by 10 inches, and the width was 200 and the height was 250. And we decided that we were going to use a 5 centimetre or 50 millimetre mount all the way around the outside. So what we do is we put our measurements on the worksheet, we add our 5 centimetre scales around the outside, but first of all what we must do is allow a small amount of overlap of the mount over the edge of the picture. So from our 200 by 250 millimetre size, we deduct 5 millimetres. Now this will allow the mount to overlap the edge of your picture so that it covers it safely. So we end up with a size of 195 by 245. We add the size of the mount, which was 50 millimetres or 5 centimetres. We add all this together and we end up with the size of the mount outside dimensions, which is 295 by 345. So the first thing what we have to do is to cut a blank size in the mount board colour that we've chosen, and that size is going to be 295 by 345. This is the mount board colour that we selected, the buffy colour, and here on the back I've already measured up my lines. Now to cut out the piece of mount board, what I'm going to do is use the Frameco 90-degree cutter. Using the ruler, the 90-degree cutter has several settings on it. The first setting is for paper, so that's for cutting paper or photographs. The second setting is for cutting mount board, and the third and fourth setting are for cutting phone call board. They're the backing boards that you can use to back your pictures up. Here what we're going to do is we're going to cut the piece of mount board. The straight cutter attaches to the ruler for accurate cutting, and the ruler then just lines up directly on the line that I've just made here. So I line that up and then just simply cut straight down. And I get a clean cut. Okay, so once we've cut our piece of mount board, we then have to measure the size of the borders all the way around. Remember, we were going to cut a 5 or 50 millimeter mount. So on the back of the mount board, we put a series of pencil lines. We measure in 5 centimeters. And join that together with using our rule. Cut. So we now have a series of pencil lines on the back of the mount, 5 centimeters, 50 millimeters from the edge of the mount. Now our mount cutting head, the MatMaster mount cutting head, the best part about it is that it attaches to the ruler like this, and it just runs smoothly along the ruler. The problem with a lot of mount cutters is they don't have a system of attaching to the ruler. And if you just put it onto any straight edge, what will happen is that no matter how hard you try, it'll wander off the straight edge. So the MatMaster system has the cutting head and this special ruler, and the head attaches to the ruler. The next thing what you do is that you line your ruler up right on the line. So the MatMaster cuts exactly on the line. No calculations, cutting exactly on the line. And it also has, just here on the outside of the edge of the cutter, a start and stop line. So now you can see the purpose of the lines on the back of the mount. Here what you do is you line the start and stop line up with the first of the pencil lines, and you cut down to the bottom pencil line. See, you're cutting from the back of the mount, and what you need to do is to get the corners just right. So the way of doing that is to have a start and stop line so that you know where to start and where to stop, so there'll be no overcuts. Come back to the beginning, line the start and stop line up with the first line, push the blade in, and cut down to the bottom line. Stop, release the handle, pick up the mount cutter and the ruler, turn your mount around, and do that for the next side. So just repeat that process. Mount cutter back, start at the top line, just before the line, push the blade in, cut all the way down to the bottom. Now once you're finished cutting the mount, you can then pick that up and the middle will just drop out. Now a couple of words about cutting mounts. First of all, what you need to do is to cut onto a piece of softish cardboard. Don't use those self-healing mats. What happens with the self-healing mat is they're meant for cutting straight lines. And the blade, when the MatMaster, what will happen is because it's on a bevel or on a slope, it will get caught underneath the self-healing mat and it'll break off the edge of the blade. So the best thing to use is a piece of cardboard or a scrap piece of mount board. The other thing is what we need to do is sometimes the middle won't drop out. Don't push it out. Just take a blade, nick it into the edge of the mount here, and you'll be able to just take that last little bit off, and the middle of the mount will just fall out nice and neatly. Now with the MatMaster, there's some upgrades that you can include. The basic unit is the ruler and the cutting head. But what you can do is you can add add the baseboard to make the ruler more steady, and it's better for more accurate cutting. And the baseboard also includes some border width marking gauges, and the border width marking gauges makes the measuring so much easier. Let me show you how this works. First of all, here's your ruler. And the baseboard is a solid aluminium baseboard and has 2 spring clips on either end which supports the ruler. It's very easy to slip your ruler onto the baseboard. Clicks into place. The baseboard has 2 slots. The outer slot here is for the 90-degree cutter. So with your ruler set up on the baseboard, you can measure the size that you wanted on your mat, and if you want to trim it down to size, then you can fit this in, line the pencil marks up with the edge of the ruler, and the 90-degree cutter again attaches to the ruler, and here we'll just run down and cut your board to size. Remember when we were cutting the mount the first time, we cut the mount onto the piece of cardboard. So when you're using the baseboard, what you have to do is to have a piece of card or a slip mat underneath. And this is just a piece of ordinary mount board which slips underneath the spring clips here just to keep it into place. So when we go to cut a mount, we cut it onto a piece of slip mount or cardboard. Put the ruler back. Now this time what we're going to do is we're going to use the border width marking scales here. Now what we do is we slip our mount board in underneath the ruler, and here what we do is we decided we were going to use a 5 centimetre mount. So here we slip the mount board under, and with the scales which are attached to the baseboard, we push the mount through to when we can see it aligned up with the desired size that we want, push down the ruler and make a pencil mark. Turn it around. If it's a narrow sort of mount, move the scales down a little bit, slide it in, line it up on the size that you want, push this down and rule up. For accuracy, move the scales out. Line this up this way. Now what you can do is your cutting head, as the before, attaches to the ruler, and we'll run along the ruler, and you cut the mount as before, starting from the bottom line, finishing on the top line. So the baseboard just makes things a little bit easier, more accurate and more reproducible. One of the other tools that Frameco also has is a V-grooving tool. Now a V-groove is that line around the outside of the mat, and what it does, it focuses the eye into the image. An ordinary plain mount can be enhanced quite dramatically with a single V-groove. Have a look at the pictures over here on the wall. Any mount, here we have a plain mount, one with a V-groove, with a offset corner, again a double offset with a V-groove, and here we have a single mount with a single groove. You can also use the V-groover by freehand. Now the Frameco V-groover or Groove Master consists of 2 parts. A gauge used for measuring where you're going to put the V-groove, and the cutting head itself. Let me show you quickly how this works. The gauge sits into the corner of the mount. It locks into the corner by having a 90 degree here. A V-groove looks best 1 centimetre from the edge of the mount, and the top of the first slot is 1 centimetre. And you just simply put a small pencil mark on the outside of the mount in each corner. Using your Mat Master rule again, the Groove Master attaches to the rule. Runs along the rule for, again, accurate cutting. This time we work from the front of the mount and we line the edges of the blades, which you can see down through the sight hole, up with the pencil lines that you've just made on the front of the mat. We start from the top and we cut down to the bottom. Putting the third finger into the grip hole and the index finger on the front of the V-groover so that you can push down on the blades, you simply cut down making a V-groove. You can see where to stop by the pencil lines on the front of the mount. Cut all the way around with the Groove Master and it puts a decorative V-groove all the way around the outside. Now if you'd like to know more about V-grooving, there's a separate video which covers some of the extra techniques such as freehand cutting. Now the first job what we have to do is we have to suspend our picture behind the mount. The best way of doing this is with some pH neutral or acid-free hinging tape. And we place the tape at the top of the picture and not down the sides and not across the bottom. So in hinging something, you always hinge it just from the top. The easiest way to do this is to first of all put your picture face up on your workbench. The hinging tape I'm using is this 12mm acid-free hinging tape, and I place small pieces of it underneath each edge of the picture, the top edge. What I can then do is take my mount and position it over the picture, making sure that I get it square and exactly in the position that I want, and then press the hinges into place. Turn it over and you can see the tape is on the edge here. Add some to the top, just in two positions, one about here and one about here. Placing the tape a smaller bit along the edge like this and here, and then just like a T, put another piece over the top of that. I'll just do this one here, small amount of tape on the top, burnish that in, and another piece of tape on the top. Now you always place the tape, as I said before, across the top and never down the sides and never across the bottom. The reason for this is that if the picture expands, then what we don't want it to do is to buckle. So across the top only. Our next job is to cut a backing board for our picture, and here what we use is foam core board. Foam core board is an acid-free backing board which is easy to use and, as I said, available very widely in most art material stores. The best way to measure up is just to simply put the picture back on top of a scrap piece of board, mark the outsides, and then again using your Mat Master ruler and your 90-degree cutter, but this time adjusted to cut foam core board, attach the 90-degree cutter to the edge of your ruler, line it up on your pencil mark, and you can get a clean cut. So now that we've cut our foam core board, we have a good strong backing for the back of our picture, forming a sandwich. We're now ready to cut our frame. Now, this is where we go back to our worksheet. You remember our worksheet? The size that we actually cut our piece of mount board was 295 by 345. But this time what we will need to do is to add a few millimetres to that size so that the picture that we've just cut slips or falls back into the frame really easily. So here what we do is we add 5 millimetres to our 295 and 345, and we end up with 300 by 350, and that's the size that we're going to cut our frame. One of the hardest parts about doing your own framing is cutting the frame accurately. You know, it's anyone can cut one side. It's getting that second side to be the same size as the first one exactly, which makes for a good frame. Now, there are many suspension saws and electric saws on the world market, and most of them are very good. Nobex from Sweden is one that we particularly recommend, and because it's a little more accurate than most of the commercial saws. And then what we have is a measuring system which will attach to most saws, most electric or hand-operated saws, and this is the measuring system here. The best way to set this up is to set it up onto a piece of board like we have here. You can then G-clamp it or clamp it to your bench top, and when you're finished you can pick the whole unit up and take it away. So the measuring system attaches to any brand of electric, powered or hand-operated saw and is used for measuring the two frames pieces and getting them accurate, and it works this way. Once you've cut one side, once you cut your first side, you can then slide the moulding through ready to cut the other 45-degree mitre. Now what you're actually interested in is the measurement from the inside of the frame. So you want to know the distance between here and here, or the inside of the rebate. And this reference point here is what we use for the measuring system. We slide our moulding along, and remember the first side that we wanted was a 30 centimetre side. We look at the 30 centimetre diagonal line and we slide the moulding along until it bisects the 30 centimetre line. We added 5 millimetres for clearance factor so the picture would drop inside the hole well and easily, so we come right up to the 30 line. We bring the stop down to when it touches the first mitre, secure that in position, clamp the moulding in position, bring the saw around, ready to cut the next mitre. Once you've cut your 4 sides, the next job that you have to do is to clamp the 4 pieces of wood together securely, ready for joining. At Frameco we have several clamps. A cord clamp, which is a piece of string which will hold the 4 sides together. A hobby clamp, which makes the cord clamp more efficient. And a steel belted strap clamp, which is the best of them all. Let me quickly show you the 3 different clamps. The cord clamp is a piece of cord 3 metres long with 4 flexible corners. Place it around the outside of the frame, and in this corner here there's a cleat which will lock the cord into place. Place it around the frame, tension on the cord, pull it together, align the corners up, checking the corners for alignment, A little bit of glue on the joints are recommended with the cord clamp, and pull it nice and tight. The problem with the cord clamp is that there's a lot of stretch in the string, so it's only suitable for relatively small frames. One of the ways to eliminate the stretch in the string is to put a tensioning device on it, and this is what the hobby clamp is. The hobby clamp has a tensioning device. You first of all place the cord clamp on the frame, place the tensioning device on one side, and then by mechanically increasing the tension here, you remove the stretch out of the string, and it makes it a lot tighter. It improves the quality of the cord clamp. But the problem with the cord clamp, as I said earlier, is the cord has a lot of stretch in it. So for heavy frames and something bigger, it's not suitable. That's when you need the benefits of a steel belted clamp. And here, the Frameco steel belted clamp, the cord has been replaced by a piece of steel strap with the same flexible corners on the outside and 5 meters of strap. Let me show you how this one works. The steel belted strap clamp has, as I said earlier, 5 meters of strap on it. You place that around the outside edges of the frame. The unique feature of all Frameco cord, all clamps, is that they have these detachable corner pieces. So you can add more for doing hexagon or octagon frames. But also they have a small detachable foot or wing which sits into the bottom of each corner, and that just comes off. But what it does is it allows or sits underneath the underside of the frame and will stop it slipping off the outside of the frame. Some mouldings which are very slopey or very small, the corners could slip off in most other clamps, but this is a unique feature of the Frameco clamping systems. Easy to put on. The corners around the four sides. Pull the strap tightly together. The clamp has a locking handle which locks the strap into place. Slide it back on the bench. Align the corners for perfect alignment so that you can not see any cracks. The strap clamp has a locking handle which locks the strap into place, and a tensioning handle which will pull the strap nice and tight. Check the joints and make sure that you've got the alignment just right. Increase the tension, check the joints, increase the tension. You're then able to pick up the whole frame and it won't fall apart because it's held nice and firmly. Turn it over, because now what we're ready to do is join with our Pushmaster and the V-nails into the back of the frame. The Pushmaster kit contains the Frameco hand V-nailer, which consists of a retractable magnet and a solid head. It contains sufficient V-nails, 400 V-nails, which is sufficient for 50 frames, some backing nails, some backing flexi points, and some screw eyes. Now the cartridges contain the V-nails. There's 4 different sizes of V-nails. 7mm and 10mm are the major sizes which are used for most picture frame joining. The dispenser, which contains the V-nails, has a pusher. Push this along and then release it. It pushes the V-nails along to the end of the cartridge. The Pushmaster has a retractable magnet. Place the magnet underneath the first V-nail at the end of the cartridge, and by prying one off, one of the V-nails will come off the end, like this. The V-nail has a sharp end and a blunt end, or a top and a bottom. When you take it out of the cartridge, the sharp end is already facing downwards. And the sharp end also contains a little bit of silicone tape. This protects the point and at the same time lubricates the V-nail as it's going into the timber. It doesn't matter where you put the V-nail on the end of the Pushmaster. It can go that side or that side. It won't fall off because it's held there with the magnet. We then line the V-nail up with the corner, and the best positioning is a frame this side. There would be two V-nails, one close to the rebate and one about halfway. Position the first V-nail so that the one side of the V-nail is parallel with this side of the moulding, and the other wing or the other side of the V-nail is parallel with this one. So it's a V across the mitre. Place it into the corner of the frame and push it in. Go to the next corner, position the V-nail over the mitre, close to the rebate. Place your palm of your hand on top of the Pushmaster, steady it and push the V-nail in. The corner wings prevent the corner from slipping off the back of the frame. Two stapling positions are all that is necessary, one close to the rebate and one about halfway across the moulding. When the moulding is an odd shape, the underside of the frame will need to be supported. Otherwise, when you push the V-nails down, the bottom of the frame will collapse out. The corner jack is adjustable and is used to slip underneath the moulding and will support the underside of the frame. V-nails are available in 4 different sizes: 7mm, 10mm, 12mm and 15mm. And they're available in 2 different grades, normal and hardwood. The hardwood V-nails have a red top to them. The normal V-nails have a white top to them. And the different size is shown in the end of the cartridge. If in doubt, always use the white top or normal V-nails and reserve the hardwood or the red top ones for very hard timbers only. Yep. The V-nails are available in a 400 pack or 3 cartridges and a 1000 pack or an 8 cartridge pack. The Pushmaster is available in 2 kits, as the Pushmaster kit and as the Benchmaster kit. To make joining even easier, you can load the Pushmaster into the Benchmaster for easier joining. The Pushmaster can be loaded into the Benchmaster for more powerful joining. The Benchmaster leg extension kit increases the height of the crossbeam. It will now join up to 5 inches or 120 millimeters high. To insert sawtooth hangers in very wide frames, the Benchmaster beam offset kit pushes the beam forward to accommodate large mouldings. The base plate clamp holds the frame corner firmly when joining. The clamp is most suitable for complex shaped mouldings or very hard timbers. It prevents the moulding from moving and the corner collapsing. It consists of a slot in the base plate and a crossbeam. Tension is applied to the crossbeam by the thumb screw. Extra power can be then achieved in joining the hardest of timbers. Once we've cut and made our frame, we're ready to do our fitting up. The first thing we need is a piece of glass. My suggestion is that you go to your local glass merchant and he'll cut the glass for you. But just a few tips on cutting glass. The first thing to do is to use a good quality glass cutter. The glass cutters that I recommend are an oil-filled glass cutter with a tungsten carbide tip. You can use your mat cutting ruler because it has two large rubber stops onto the bottom of it which will prevent it from slipping on any piece of glass. Now that we have our glass, we're ready to fit our picture into the frame. Remember, the backing of the picture was foam core board and it fits nicely into the frame. We can now use our Pushmaster to fit the picture into the frame. To fit the picture into the frame, you can use backing nails or you can use flexi points. These bend backwards and forwards and they're handy if you wish to take the photograph or artwork in and out of the frame. The Pushmaster has a slot in the head. This is used for inserting the backing nail into the side of the frame. Take a nail and put the Pushmaster over the top of the nail. The magnet will pick up the nail and you can easily drop it into the slot. To insert the nail into the side of the frame, you need something firm to lean the frame against. The frame stop is ideal for this purpose. Place the frame stop underneath the frame, the Pushmaster into the palm of your hand and push the nail into the side of the frame. The flexi point can be used exactly the same way. On the other side of the Pushmaster is a wider slot. Pick up the flexi point, move it into the slot and push the flexi point into the side of the frame. The flexi points will bend backwards and forwards. These are handy for photographs or for needlework where you may need to take the artwork in and out. Once you've secured the picture into the back of the frame, you're now ready to tape the frame up. A good quality backing tape is ideal. This is a silicone tape and is best used for the backs of pictures. Pull one side off and push it down the back. Cut the edges. Two pieces of tape makes a very neat finish. Once I've taped the back of the picture, we're now ready for the hanger. The hanger should be placed about 1/3 of the way down from the top. Here I've made my measurements already 1/3 of the way from the top of the picture. Screw eyes are one thing that you can use to hang the picture up. And this is where our Pushmaster comes in again. In the top of the Pushmaster, there's a slot. And the screw eye fits into the end of the slot. This is used to put the screw eye into the back of the frame. Insert the screw eye into the slot, place it over the mark, and just screw the eye into the back of the frame. This makes this job so much easier to do. Place the wire through the screw eyes and secure it onto the back of the frame. We're now ready with our picture, ready to hang. We've cut our mount, decorated our mount with a V-groove. We've cut our frame and joined our frame, and we've finished all the job off with backing tape and screw eyes and wire. Picture framing can be done very easily at home. It doesn't take a lot of tools, but it does take the right tools. And Frameco has a range of tools that makes it possible for you to do your own framing at home, using the best of the materials that the industry has to offer. you can do your own framing at home, get enjoyment out of the job that you are doing, and save money at the same time.